So it was like, this story is too good to be true. It looked to me like an Hollywood script. And so I felt like this should be a movie. And at the beginning, I took it, as a thing that I felt a project that I wanted to make because I wanted to introduce myself to the cinema community of San Francisco and Los Angeles. And so I was like, okay, let's pick this subject and try to make out something out of it. And I didn't realize how the hole I was digging for myself, because this was like a long process in the making, and it was like years of my life. And so, yeah, that's...
You know what I love about this documentary? That is not just about Giannini. So you practically told the story from the past 100 years.
Well, that's the beauty of his story. So he really, if you think about it, he went from 1870 to 1949. We're talking about from the, not Gold Rush, but literally from the Cowboys era to World War II. And I still cannot comprehend the lifetime of his lifetime, because I'm like, what he saw? He went from the carriages with horses to airplanes. So the changes that he had to his life, it's incredible if you think about it historically. And the idea was not to show him in terms like, this is A.P. Giannini. No, I wanted to show his actions, because I felt like his actions they speak louder than whatever we can say. And so it wasn't just about him. And another thing is that you actually see only 14 pictures of him, no more. The whole story is told by other people, and that's what I really loved about him, that he didn't publish anything except an autobiography that was written 2 years before he died, but it was all about his childhood and stuff like that. He didn't brag about what he did. So, and he didn't put his name on buildings. It was people that, well, no, I don't know. Politically speaking. I mean, at the time, all of these men that we mentioned, they put their names on the buildings. It was practice.
They still do.
They still do, yeah. And what I loved about him was that he really didn't care about himself too much, even though he was wealthy. He wasn't poor. But his story for me was very important. And when I started in 2017, it was like, here's the demonstration that you can be wealthy and not a bad person. You can be a nice person.
You can be a good person. You can have a good heart. Yes. Okay. There is a particular moment in Giannini's life that you found particularly memorable or impactful, that inspired you?
Oh, I think I showed them a moment. Well, overall, I loved the humanity that he had throughout his life, and again, that's what I loved about him. That any business, if you think that he wasn't not even educated. He left school when he was 15. So if I'm thinking about, for an uneducated person, he did a really good job, just trusting people. So that for me is the biggest achievement.
And he trusts himself and he's got a lot.
A lot. But I think that his best skill was really reading the room, reading the people. That was his skill, because he was, even when he had Cecily DeMille at the head of his department for the movie industry, it was like he picked the right person for that job. It doesn't happen all the time. We're used usually to, they pick person because, it's son of, it's brother of,
And then he knew everybody personally, so he would put his face in
that was very important for him.
Yes.
He wanted to know people from with their first name. I think that we didn't put, that I didn't put in the cut, was that when he left, there was a period that he had to go, when he left for Europe, one of the last days, he went to the ground floor of one of his branch, and there was a guy at the elevator. There was, at the time, they were,
Yes.
make the elevator working, there was a guy running the elevator. And he met him and he said bye to this guy as well. When he came back from Europe, this guy wasn't not anymore at the elevator. And Giannini, when I arrived at the branch, he was asking about him. The guy became the president of that bank. And it was like, oh my God, in just 3 years he went. But he knew about that guy and he wanted to say hi to the guy. It was very personal. With everybody.
So this was my other questions. So what is that he didn't make the cut? Why did he didn't make the cut at this part?
Oh, well, no, it was too long, yeah. But the funny story that didn't make the cut, and I loved, because, I learned a lot of American history doing this documentary, thanks to Joe, and it was the story producer, because I didn't know a lot of the American history. One funny part during the interview with the granddaughters is that Virginia told us about a trip that she took with AP in South America. And you see some pictures of it, but we don't hear the story. So they went to South America with this Governor Kennedy. And they were on the beach in Brazil playing with these governor's kids. During the interview, I realized that those kids were JFK and Robert Kennedy, and I was like, so you were playing with JFK on the beach, and I realized it was such a story that it was like so connected to history for a moment. I was like, this guy from Torino came here, and connect to. There was an amazing story, but for obviously reason didn't make the cut because it was not connected.
Not connectable, but beautiful.
But beautiful. It's a nice story to tell during Q&A.
Yes. So what is the message you hope viewers will take away from the film? And we can ask that to them too.
Well, the message is build bridges, not walls. In some, But again, it's not political. I'm a guest in this country.
I still would like to be here.
I'm still on green card, so. It's really what I loved, and this is why I wanted to finish the movie on the Golden Gate Bridge, because it was really the bridge, the message. After the Golden Gate Bridge, he had a big influence on World War II. For all the Italians in the room, you have to think that when the United States created the Marshall Plan for Europe, Italy wasn't in the plan. But the United States president asked money to Bank of America. And Giannini said, if you want the money from Bank of America, you better help Italy as well. And gave the president a list of companies that have to be helped in Italy. So it was like, you need to recover Italians as well. And I didn't include also the fact that he went to the encampments to rescue some Japanese employees, because World War II was that as well. But I didn't want to close on a sad note, and I didn't want to get to his death, because my idea was really the legacy of Giannini. He's still alive for me. And he's still alive because every screen that I do, there's a lot of people that comes and tell me story that I don't know. He's alive in these people that he paid respect to this guy, to AP. The reason why you guys are here is not for me, it's for him. And it's because he did such a great job.
Well, I'm curious, how many of you knew about Giannini? Okay, not too many people. So you learned a lot today. Wow. So I learned that when I was hearing you and talking with Stefan, our amazing director, that there is a new movie coming out, right, about Giannini.
Well, yes, no, it's in the work.
Is it the work?
It's Well,
It's
yeah.
not coming anytime soon,
No,
practically.
it's,
But somehow they contact you because you did
because
such a
of the
great job.
relationship with the
Exactly.
family, yeah.
Okay, so you have the rights of the
From the family.
from the family,
From the
which is huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was the first thing that we got in 2018 because we didn't know anything, and it was like, okay, here's $10. Can we have the rights? And it was pretty much
And they
it.
say, yeah,
They
sure.
said yes, Well, it was Virginia and Anne,
Yeah.
and
The granddaughters.
the granddaughters.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, they were scared. When they met me the first time, they thought that it was from Bank of America, and so they tried to protect all the things of AP Giannini. I had to come by their house multiple times to gain their trust and show them, guys, I'm an immigrant. I have nothing to do with Bank of America. And they opened the doors, and this is a very new story, is that Virginia passed away in May last year.
Oh, okay.
And she left a letter where she said that I and other 3 people have to open the boxes in her basement.
Oh, wow.
And we found 53 new boxes of material about Giannini and his daughter, Claire. And so it was like, well, maybe I have to tell the story of Claire Giannini.
Exactly.
And so because these 53 boxes, I was scared to be fair at the beginning because I was like, what if I told bullshit, lies in the movie, and now these boxes are gonna, expose me. The truth was not. It was we were fair, but I discovered the story of Claire.
Now we have to do the sequel.
Well, yes, it's already in production.
Here we go.
It's already in production
Anyway.
because Claire Giannini, being Giannini's daughter, she was the first and unique president. At the time, for 20 years, she was the only female president of the bank, and she was the only female in the financial world till the 70s. That she was sent abroad on behalf of the United States president.
Oh, wow.
And so we found all these pictures with Claire Giannini along with 50 men in the room because she was the only woman doing that business. Yeah.
So can we wait to see the sequel? Okay, so why do you think Giannini's story is relevant to the audience today? It's very relevant.
Again, I don't want to get political,
But
it's
very
relevant. It's
Yes,
relevant.
yeah.
I feel that, but to me, it's not relevant just today, 2026. To me, it's relevant since the 80s.
Yes.
When banks stopped saying customers, and they start saying stockholders. When they start taking care more of their stockholders than the customers, and it wasn't just the banks, it was other corporations, and that changed, and now this is relevant since the 80s for me. And so the fact that there are people there and you have to take care of your people, your customers.
Correct. So, what are you planning for your next film project? We know that the sequel, and there is another historical figure or something completely different, or you just concentrate on Claire right now?
No, right now I'm concentrating on Claire, but I started another feature doc that explores more how the relationship between Italians and Italian Americans. Very complex relationship that I learned. Okay, let's be fair. When I came to the States, I was like, I don't want to have anything to do with Italian Americans. Because I learned about Italian Americans from Hollywood stereotypes. So I was very judgy in that sense. And through this movie and the tour that I did with this movie, and the people that I met in San Francisco, in Los Angeles, in New York, I was like, there was much more, many things that, all these stereotypes didn't portray. And so I want, in some way, pay respect to those shades that all these shady, in positive, on a positive light, but shady areas that are like many Italian Americans, they're considered Italian by Americans and are considered Americans by Italians. So it's that fine line that they are not one thing or they are somewhere in between, and I saw very strongly when Italy won the baseball game with against the United States, where all the players were Italian Americans. And on social media, Italians went crazy, insulting them. They are not Italians, they are Americans. And Americans were like, oh, that's not an Italian team, that's an American team. And I was like, see, it's still happening. Yeah, I feel so bad for these multi-millionaire players that they have to hear this, but, it's not just them.
And then we've been thinking maybe he's going to do the documentary of Prendiamo.
Of course.
Yes, you see, I put you in front of everybody. I'm allowed to witness now. So now I would like to hear the audience. Here we go. Yeah, oh, you have a microphone right there. Yes.
Your film tells us that at 60 he retired because he was ill, and that he returned to fight the takeover even though he was ill. But you don't tell us what he was ill from. What was he suffering from, and is that the illness that killed him?
No, so he was ill. He had a blood. How to say in English?
Dillo in italiano.
No. Is when your globuli rossi. Hemophilia. So he was ill of hemophilia, and this thing went down his family. That's why his son died 2 years after him, right away. And that's why his granddaughters, there are no grandsons of him. And the reason why Claire didn't have kids for fear of this ill going down the bloodline. So, and actually, Larry, the great-grandson of A.P. Giannini, that is a good friend of mine now, he has the same problem. But luckily for him, he was born late, and he was cured through the 80s and the 90s, so he's surviving and he's thriving, he's doing his life. But unfortunately, back then, it was something that they couldn't be cured. But he didn't die because of hemophilia. He died because he was 79 years old. He survived.
I was wondering if for recording. Yeah, I just want to say I thought it was just incredible and so inspiring, particularly what he seemed to be just about, like what he cared about. But one thing I wanted to ask when it comes to Bank of America, like later, like now, like when it was bailed out, let's say during that time, and where we are now, and whether you think it still holds his vision.
Oh, okay. Is there here anyone from Bank of America?
Just to make sure.
Okay, we didn't see the role, the closing credits get to the end, but this movie wasn't paid by Bank of America at all. They didn't support not the movie, but they tried to stop me twice to make this movie. So that's to answer your question. If Bank of America today love A.P. Giannini, the short answer is no. They don't actually want his name. They start to take out his name from buildings, But as any corporation, it's made by people. And so there's a part of Bank of America that don't want, they say that Bank of America was founded in 1998. That is when the bank was acquired actually by national banks. But there's people inside the bank that they sneak in the back of the bank and help me make this movie. This movie was able to be made not only because Duncan was an historian in Bank of America, and of course he was fired because he was an historian when the bank was acquired. But a lot of people like Claudio Cipollina, David Mendoza, and other people inside the bank to this day, they helped me without saying to the bank that they were helping me. And they were like, finish the movie, and then we are gonna show it to the bank. And what happened really was that we showed it to the bank, and the bank was like, okay, we are not gonna support you, we are not gonna stop you, but we don't care about the movie. So this is the official position. Said that, Bank of America, California, is buying screening for their employees like crazy. I made the money back thanks to them, because really they want this to be shown to their employees to see this is our backstory. But we are still struggling in distribution, and every time we try to approach anything that is funded by Bank of America, like let's say you want to go on PBS or you want to get distributed by anyone that has some money from Bank of America, you don't get a deal. So that's why we keep doing screenings like that, because we work much more on this level than on a bigger level. But they're not fighting us, we don't fight them. And I asked generally, if someone was from Bank of America, because many times they send delegations to watch the movie and see that I'm not speaking bad about them.
Paolo and I almost invited somebody from Bank of America. What did they say, Paolo?
They were too busy to answer.
Okay, they were too busy to answer. Great.
Exactly.
Okay.
Doesn't
Any other question? Yes.
easy story.
It was wonderful. Thank you very much for bringing that to us. It was the historical aspects of it in particular. But what we don't know is your history. This is not your first rodeo, as we would say in America. So can you tell us a little bit about your own background as a filmmaker?
Oh, so it's my first feature documentary in English
As a director.
as a director. So it's but it's been 20 years. I've been editing anything that is editable, TV shows, documentaries, short movies, anything. And if I learn something from other directors, editing other directors' movie is, their mistakes. So I learned from their mistakes and I tried not to make those mistakes. And one of those mistakes are listen to your crew. Many directors forget that they have a crew to listen to. And I tried to listen to my crew as much as I could, especially the editor. That was myself.
That was very important to
That was very
you.
important.
Listen to
But yes, being a person that I edited for now it's 20 years, I know how to edit, and I feel that a lot of things are playing well because I'm a better editor than director. So I feel like, I saved myself from suicide, as editor.
You told me something that you first started with the voiceover, right? And you start to edit,
Okay.
and then you added the interview.
So, because of the time, first of all, I didn't have money.
Yes.
And second of all, I had the story, but I didn't know anybody in San Francisco, in California. So what I started was really the timeline. I put down the timeline, and it was literally, imagine this movie, but with just my voice, saying all the lines that you hear now, roughly. But with my voice and my accent, so nothing to watch. And then I endrow all the images that I wanted to film. Then when I had the storyline, and the cut that you see, it's roughly what it was in 2019. So when I had the storyline and everything was working perfectly, and I watched it and I was like, okay, the story works. I went, okay, these are the sound bites that I have. What is the question that is gonna have these answer? And so I pulled all the questions that I would have needed. Said that, when I had all the questions, I was like, okay, who are the experts that are gonna answer these questions? So this way I found the financial expert, the historian and expert, and I went backwards in the process. But that allowed me also to save tons of money, because even the DP, the DP, as you may know, on a movie is very expensive. So at the beginning, I went out every night in San Francisco and Los Angeles and here in New York with my camera, and I went filming all the plays that I wanted. Then I edited them. Then I called the DP and I said, okay, I need you to shoot these 2 shots at the Golden Gate Bridge. These 2 shots at the, well, it was just the Golden Gate Bridge because the rest is my footage. Because nobody
So
called
practically
me.
you were the director, the cameraman, and the...
No. I was just the director, the editor, the producer, the writer, and the. But no, I'm kidding. But the interviews and all the footage of San Francisco are with the DP. But because there was the COVID and there were no money, I came down here in New York and I filmed all the Wall Street stuff for the pleasure of my wife, that she was like, we don't get a vacation, we just go. And I did the same in Los Angeles, so pretty basic plates. And the idea, and this is again, my wife is gonna kill me if I do this again, it was all filmed by night. If you notice, it starts with the sun, and then we go with a time lapse to the night time, and we get back to the sun at the end of the movie. So it's because I like film during the night, but it was also because he went through this dark time, so I wanted to film everything by night. And production-wise, it's because nobody's gonna bother you during the night time. If you are in Wall Street, you don't have tourists, you don't have cops, you can get around pretty quickly. But what was the question?
No, you wanted to know more about you, and now we
So
know.
yes, there was the process, and so that helped me save a lot of money. And to be fair, I had to. This movie came. I started filming as soon as I finished my short movie that I filmed in San Francisco. And if you watch that short movie, it has the same exactly spots that we filmed this one. Because I used that short movie to test the cameras and the locations, and it was all filmed by night. That's why my wife now is like, next movie is gonna be by day.
By day,
Okay.
at the beach in Italy.
No way.
Davide, sorry to interrupt you. Just to give you a sense also of other things that he did. A film that we presented here, Viva Verdi,
I was
you worked on it, you edited.
Yeah.
The one we presented about the retirement home for artists.
Yeah.
So that you were also nominated for that movie and so on. And it's a beautiful story of Giuseppe Verdi leaving this legacy in Milan for retired musicians and singers that have a place where they can be in their old age and where they continue singing and playing music, and they can continue the life that they chose. And that the film is a beautiful tribute to a great Italian.
And you know what, something that was funny talking about the fishermen that were going to sing at the opera.
Yes.
I love that part.
It's a true story. It's the fishermen were
Fish in the morning and at night.
singing at the opera at night.
Do we have any other questions? Yes, Paolo.
How much money a movie like this cost, and where did you find the money?
Okay, how much money? I would say, give me a check, I write it. There's no price. A lot of people work for free, like the director and the editor work for free. So,
And the cameraman too.
Yeah, sometimes the cameraman and
And
the
probably the
writer.
producer.
And a funny story about the money is that because it was the pandemic and there were no producers interested in put money, not financiers. My wife and I, okay, let's put it this way, I have a little passion for the stock market. And so I used to do it when I was in Italy, and in the United States you have the stock market on steroid. So if you can do some math, you can gain some money on your stock market. And so during the pandemic, every morning I woke up from March 2020 to June 2020. My wife and I, we trade stock market and raise the money on Wall Street stock market. So then to own now I'm the owner of the project because, you know, it was technically my money, but we really raised the money through the stock market, and then we were able to have the money to do the interviews. And once we had the interviews, some investors were like, "Oh, this is nice. We can help you." I was like, "Yeah, now it's a good time for post-production, you know, for those things." But yeah.
Bravo, bravo. Anybody else? Yeah.
So I came to the US when I was 9, completely felt the same way about Italian Americans. For really, I had nothing to do with Italian Americans for more years than I'd like to admit. So but a movie like this reminds me of the people that I'm really proud of. And I can't say that all of the stereotypes are false, but it is so wonderful to be reminded of the people that I can be proud of, that I am proud of. And you are also, you know, you're on that line where you're an Italian American. You're here. I mean, it's, you know, there for many, many years you think of yourself as an American, as an Italian. And actually, I was speaking with someone who's been here for 30 years, so less than I have been. I've been here for 50, more than 50 now. And she was identifying herself as not Italian American. And I think, you know, after a while, that is what we are. We're Italian, we're American, but we're also Italian American, and it's something we can be proud of.
Yeah, no, I think you should be proud of, and that's why I wanted to portray this story, because there are also good stories out there. One thing that I loved about Giannini is that he never called himself Italian American. And not because he wasn't proud of it, but because he wanted to include everybody. And his bank, and what I love about this, when I started pitching the movie in 2017, I was pitching it as an Italian American movie. And then I was like, no, this is an immigrant story.
Yes.
This is the story of so many other immigrants, because he wasn't just Italians, he was the Irish, he was the Jewish, he was, you know, there's the Chinese. We had a screening in San Francisco where half of the audience was Chinese, because they remember the Giannini and what he did, and that was his goal. So, of course, if I'm talking to an Italian American audience, you know, I'm proud of that, but I feel that it was really, this is an American story. This is really an American story.
That's what truly heartwarming.
Yeah.
Because what is good about this new country of ours is that.
Yeah. And sometimes, you know, it depends when you hear the words of Bakari, when he says it's a country of immigrants, and the state you are, because I heard those comments in Ohio, and it was quite different than in California. But people stood up as well, and they were like, this is an American hero, you know? And I was like, yeah, it is. He was an American hero. And you hear his voice, he has no accent, because he didn't speak Italian.
Yeah, he was born
He was born here, but he didn't speak Italian, even though you know his parents were Italian.
Yes.
He didn't speak Italian. So because he wasn't allowed, you know, back then.
Yeah. Not like us that we have this beautiful Italian accent. Yes. So Stefano, do you feel Italian American or you feel, because we've been here for quite a few hundred years.
Yeah, I would like to leave it there. I'm Italian, I'm American, I'm Italian American. All three of them. But like a great Italian American who is Judge Calabrese, who was for many years the dean of the Yale Law School, and he was the son of refugees. His parents were Jewish, that to flee from Italy, and his mother at a certain point converted and became Catholic. And towards the end of her life, she would say, the more I grow old, and the more I feel 100% Jewish and 100% Catholic.
Yes.
And I think we make the same thing with Italian and American. I feel 100% Italian and 100% American. I guess that qualifies me as
And the
Italian.
Italian American, so we are 300%. We
You are on steroids, and I would like to thank again Davide Fiore and Ornella Fado